Design or Die podcast, meant to connect creatives together and help you navigate the struggles and the triumphs of what it means to be an entrepreneur so that you and your business can thrive. I'm your host, Collette. Let's get creative. Hi, welcome back to Design or Die. If you're new here, thank you for joining in. I made my first episode kind of an introduction into who I am, how I got started in this business, and how it developed into this. And so today I want to talk about boundaries with clients, because I feel like if you are just starting out in your business or you've been doing this a while, you know it is really hard to separate your personal life from your work life, as well as knowing when to say no and not saying yes to everything. In the beginning for me, I definitely said yes to every single project, and I was running myself into the ground. I was spread so thin, doing a million different services, and really I wasn't even getting any benefit from it. The money wasn't really profitable. Since I didn't have all of these things in stock, a lot of the times when I said yes to a new type of project, I had to go buy materials for that project. And who knows if, these people would even use me again in the future, or if I would have another request for the same type of project. So a lot of times it is figuring out what's worth it, what you can say no to, what you should say yes to, and knowing when it's become too much. So I have made a post on Instagram about this, just a few tips about how to set boundaries with your clients and still have customer service in the background. Because owning your own business, I think that's the biggest part that separates us from large companies, big box brands, and things like that, is you don't get the same customer service as you do with someone who has put their blood, sweat, and tears into their business. Because we want to make those connections. Having connections with your clients is what is going to bring people back to you and get them to spread the word about you. So it's really important to keep up customer service, but at the same time, you have to stick to your boundaries and not let it consume your life in a negative way. So a big thing I've learned over the years is to set hours for yourself. Yes, we're not clocking in to a 9-to-5 job, but if you've been in this or you're just starting to get in this, you will see that a lot of times this can be way more work than a 9-to-5. It is around the clock. I can't tell you how many hours I've spent after hours, working into the night, scheduling social media at 11 p.m., finishing up an order last minute to make sure I send it out the next morning, working till 1 a.m., 2 a.m. That's no fun. Because let's face it, we've quit our 9-to-5 to make a new life for ourselves that is more exciting, more flexible, and doesn't have someone else telling us what to do all the time, but it gives us freedom. So when you don't set hours for yourself, it ends up being way more work than it should be, So that is my main thing I've learned. I have been in this business for 2.5 years now, and I can tell you that I have set guidelines for myself in the past with set hours, but I've never stuck to them until this year, 2022. I am changing the game. I am setting those hours for myself. I've even gone so far as to make myself a weekly schedule where for every day of the week, I put the things I'll focus on. So, for example, today is Tuesday. Tuesdays are for blog posts, client work, mail day, and podcast day. So, I'm not doing anything else that day. That is it. And sticking to these really makes sure you're not stretching yourself too thin and allows you to get a lot more work done. When I'm just doing stuff on the fly, I can't tell you how many times I've forgotten something and then spent the whole night trying to do it last minute to make sure it's still on time. So setting a schedule for yourself, especially work hours, and sticking to them is most important. not only for your business, but for your mental health and to make sure your business succeeds. The only way to do that is to make sure you're taken care of. You're the backbone of your business. If you're not doing well in your personal life, your day-to-day life is really stressful working for yourself, then what's the point? So yes, stick to your hours. That means when the clock hits 5, if that's your clock out time, sign out. All those emails can wait until the next day. Just because we are more accessible than other large businesses doesn't mean we need to answer every beck and call. We need to run ourselves into the ground just to seem like a better company. Running yourself into the ground isn't going to help anyone. It's actually going to make your clients take advantage of you. So let's say, for example, you give out your personal phone number to people. They're going to use that. They'll text you at 10 p.m., they'll email you at 1 in the morning or p.m., and you're going to feel obligated to answer because you saw it. But think of it this way, it's still a business. This isn't your friend calling you. This isn't a necessity. It can wait till the next day. So remember to stick to those hours, clock out mentally, physically, emotionally when the clock hits whatever time you're ending at, and that will help you out tremendously. Take it from me, it has taken me years to figure this out, and I'm just now starting to set boundaries in my business, which is crazy. And here's another tip that will help you. Even if you have set hours, it is okay to take a break. It is okay to grab lunch. I encourage it. You're going to get better work done when you're fueling your body. It is okay. Just like the laws make employers have to give you a certain amount of breaks every hour, you owe that to yourself as well, because it can be so draining working for yourself, and it can be really full of benefits as well. But make sure you're taking care of yourself, taking the break when you need it. Go walk your dog around the block, get some fresh air. All your work will get done when you get back. That is another thing I never did for myself until this year, is really stopping and smelling the roses, if you will. You have to fulfill your own needs before you can help the needs of others, right? You hear that all the time. One of my least favorite quotes is, make sure your cup is filled before you can pour into others' cups. Now, it's a great sentiment. The only reason I don't like it is because I've heard it over and over, but it does have a great message behind it. And if you haven't heard it, there it is. So make sure you're taking care of yourself, your family, before you take care of your clients. Now, again, we want to give the best customer service available, but that doesn't mean overextending ourselves and letting people take advantage of that. So start right off the bat implementing these rules, structure, hours, and I'm here to also say, don't let a single person be that one person that can text you, or that one person that you'll answer their emails right away, or do a rush order for free, because they will always come back and they will tell their friends, oh yeah, they'll answer you right away. They'll do this for you super fast. And that's not the precedent we want to set for ourselves. We want to be professional as well, which a lot of times people love having the accessibility, which we do. We answer DMs on Instagram, things like that, but a lot of times it can actually be detrimental. Maybe we're not in the best headspace to answer at that moment, and we find that if we would have taken a break and answered a little bit later, maybe we would have had more clarity on the situation and handled it better. That's one thing I've noticed as well. So this brings me to my second point that I've mentioned in the beginning, but I want to reiterate. It's okay to say no. If something doesn't align with what you love to do, yes, we may be able to do it, but it doesn't mean you have to. This is your business. You can make the trajectory wherever you want it to go. You have the power to make your business what you want it to be. And like I said in the beginning, I would say yes to every project. In the beginning, I did graphic design, printing, and custom artwork, and it was so much. I didn't even have a personal life. Like, I just worked so much, all hours of the day, into the night, and I was not the happiest camper at the end of the night when I saw my husband, and it just wasn't working for me. And it took me a while to realize that I can't do it all. I think a lot of times as creatives, we always want to dip our fingers into something new, but it doesn't mean you have to add it to your business to try and make a profit from it. That is so important. You can do things just because you like them. It doesn't mean you always have to make it a business. I saw something the other day that reiterated this, and it really stuck with me. I'm like, it's so true. As creatives, we're always trying to do something new because we just are interested in it and we want to figure it out and learn something. But it doesn't mean that you have to make it a business and make it successful, because that's just putting way too much pressure on yourself. And for me, when I was offering so many different things, I wasn't focused on where I was going and what was going to bring me the most money and the most joy. And it wasn't until my dad actually said something to me that I was like, wow, this is so true. So this is what he said. He said, you know, you're doing so much. It's like you're a kid holding a magnifying glass, but you're not holding it in any one spot long enough for it to start a flame. And I just really resonated with that. I'm like, wow, dad coming in with the wisdom. That is so true. Like, I cannot be 100% in any one area because it's all divided into different parts, and it's never going to allow one of those to thrive because I'm spread way too thin and I'm not giving it my all. Now, I will say I still kind of do this because I have two brands. I'm doing graphic design for both, but it still can become a lot. So I do branding as well as wedding stationery, and I've had to separate them because the wedding industry needs to kind of be its own thing. So I still haven't figured it out entirely, but now I'm on a path where I'm like, okay, like now my studio isn't as messy because I'm not doing a million things like cutting paper all the time, making a bunch of art projects, and allowing myself to have a better headspace. My studio's cleaner to do the stationery and the graphic design work on my computer that I need to do, as well as not feeling like my head is spinning from going in a million directions. So again, remember that you cannot start a flame anywhere that you're not holding the magnifying glass there long enough. You're running around, you're trying to do so many different things, and it's really not going to be beneficial to you. An example I have is one of the first jobs I worked in graphic design was while I was in college. I worked there part-time just for the summer. I ended up quitting because I didn't love it, and I'll tell you why. So they hired me as a graphic designer. I learned from other designers, and I learned so much by working there those few months. But their business was kind of all over the place. They were a print company. They did graphic design services most of the time, but then they also sold like office supplies and did like an online program selling that because that's where they started. And I guess they weren't ready to like let go of that because they did have a client base in that. And then they were also like a ship company. So I was hired as a graphic designer, and a lot of times I would have to stop what I'm doing and go like mail a package it up, tape it up, weigh it, whatever. And I'm like, wait a minute, like I didn't I didn't volunteer to work at a post office. Like, I wanted to be in a creative field, and not only did I not enjoy it, which makes it less enjoyable for the employees, but I just don't see how that business thrives long term because they are spread in a million different directions. And what I've learned myself is it's really hard to market yourself when you're in so many different fields. When I was doing art and graphic design, especially even on my Instagram, it was really hard to decide, okay, like, how do I post both of these without it taking away from the other? And if people followed me for my art, what if they don't love my graphic design posts? What if it doesn't resonate with them and I lose followers? It can be really confusing. that's just one thing I've learned too. When you're doing too much is you're not going to thrive. And I think now even that company ended up changing their name finally because their business name even had nothing to do with the future that they were going in. It was very outdated. It was not really explaining what they do. They had really great graphic designers working there, but they're due to that. Yeah, that's just like a perfect example of why it helps to have structure in your business. And in the beginning, or even if you're years in, it's okay to completely like change up the game. You're allowed to make the rules for your business. You're allowed to change the rules whenever you see fit. Okay, last year I was selling custom artwork. This year I'm not making any custom artwork at all. I'm just focused on graphic design and my wedding stationery business. Do I still get people who ask, oh, can you make this like resin art piece for me? I just love it. Yeah, I could, but do I want to? No. And that's kind of what you have to ask yourself is one, is this going to help or hurt my business? Is this going to be a positive experience for me or a negative one? Is it going to take away money from other projects that I'm doing right now? Just kind of set those strict boundaries of what you're willing to do, who you're willing to do it for, and make sure it sticks in with your schedule and where you want your business to go. And again, if it's something that you could do but you don't want to do, if it's out of your comfort zone, just don't do it. And I'm sure you know several people who could do it and are doing it and want to do it for their business that you can recommend them to. That's going to be another topic later on, is supporting other businesses while you're a small business. So I totally recommend, if it's not something you align with, pass it off to a friend that wants to take it. I know all the time in my Facebook groups with my wedding stationers, sometimes they get a request for a project and they do it. They have the tools to do it, but maybe they don't have the time or capacity to do it. So they ask other stationers if they want it, which I think is so great and supportive at the same time. So it's like, you don't have to just say no. You can recommend them to a friend, another small business that maybe needs the work, maybe has the time for the work and wants to do it. So I think that's a great way to, not just give people a flat out no, but to redirect them. So I'm going to stop there. Thank you so much for tuning in. I can't wait to talk about all the ideas I have for this podcast and all the things I've learned. I have so much to say, and I'm so glad you came to listen today. I try to keep these short. When it's one person, I like to keep it kind of under like 25 minutes, just so it's easy to listen to on your way to work, at home, while you're doing the dishes, anything like that. So if you have any questions about boundaries and anything else we talk about here, I'd love to hear your feedback and answer any of those specific questions for you. You can send them to designerDie, spelt like DIY, @gmail.com. And I'd love to connect with you guys and answer some of those specific questions you might have or struggles that you're dealing with in your business. And I'll give you the best advice that I have. So thank you. Have a good day, and I'll see you on the next one.